Vajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Muna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yasoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Vajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Astatara Siddha Sri Sriman His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Astatara Siddha Sri Sriman His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Giri Govardhan Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we will be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 14, texts 24 through 27. But 24 and 25 I will just read, and 26 and 27 has a purport, so we'll do those repetitively. We'll start with text 24. Avajananti amimudha nripa rupinan ishvaram Nanu vindanti te bhadram ika loke paratracha. Now remember where we are here is the sages have spent a lot of time giving good instructions to King Venu. And we're going to see here how nicely he is responding to the good instructions that they gave. You tell me how nice it is later. Here's what he says in text 24. Those who out of gross ignorance do not worship the king, who is actually the supreme personality of Godhead, experience happiness neither in this world nor in the world after death. He's pretty full of himself, isn't he? Text 25. Ko yagna purusho nama yatra vo bhaktir idrishi pratir sneha viduranam yata jare kuyoshitam. Translation. You are so much devoted to the demigods, but who are they? Indeed, your affection for these demigods is exactly like the affection of an unchaste woman who neglects her married life and gives all attention to her paramour. Now we will do text 26 and 27. Vishnur, you have them there. Virincho, Girisa, Indro, Vayur, Yamo, Ravi, Parajanyo, Danada, Soma, Shitir, Agnir, Apampati, Ete, Chanye, Cha, Vibuddha, Prabhavo, Vara, Sapayo, Dehi, Bhavanti, Nripati, Sarvademayo, Nripaha, Vishnur Vinircho Girisha, Indro Vayur Yamoravi, Parijanyo Danadasoma, Shritir Agnir Apampati, Ete Chanya Chavi Buddha, Prabhavo Varasapayo, Dehe Bhavanti Nripati, Sarvade Mayo Nripaha. Oh, you only have the one verse. The which? Oh, only 26. All right, we'll just read 26 then. Sorry about that. Vishnur Vinirchayo Girisha, Indro Vayur Yamoravi, Parijanro Danandasama, Shritir Agnir Apampati, Vishnur Vinicharo Girisha, Indro Vayur Yamoravi, Parijanyo Danadasoma, Shitir Agnir Apampati, Vishnur Vinirchayo Girisha, Indro Vayur Yamoravi, Parijanyo Danandasomaha, Shritir Agnir Apampati, Somam. Gati. Ladies? Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Vinicha, Lord Brahma. Girisha, Lord Shiva. Indra, Lord Indra. Vayu, Vayu, the director of the air. Yama, Yama, the superintendent of death. Ravi, the sun god. Parjanya, the director of rainfall. Dhanada, Kuvera, the treasurer. Soma, the moon god. Shiti, the predominating deity of the earth. Agni, the fire god. Apampati, Varuna, the lord of the waters. Ete, all these. Cha, and. Anye, others. Cha, also. Vibhudaha, demigods. Prabhava, competent. Varasapayo, in both benediction and curse. Dehi, in the body. Bhavanti, abide. Naripati, of the king. Sarvade Maya, comprising all demigods. Nripa, the king. Translation. Now remember, this is King Venu going on here. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Vayu, the master of the air, Yama, the superintendent of death, the sun god, the director of rainfall, Kuvera, the treasurer, the moon god, the predominating deity of the earth, Agni, the fire god, Varuna, the lord of waters, and all others who are great and competent to bestow benedictions or to curse, all abide in the body of the king. For this reason, the king is known as the reservoir of all the demigods, who are simply parts and parcels of the king's body. Wow, aren't we important here, right? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are many demons who think of themselves as the Supreme Lord and present themselves as the director of the sun, the moon, and the other planets. This is all false pride. Similarly, King Venu developed the demoniac mentality and presented himself as a supreme personality of Godhead. Such demons are numerous in the age of Kali, and all of them are condemned by great sages and saintly persons. So we will ask for the Supreme Lord and Prabhupada in the disciplic succession to help bring forward some ideas that may put forward the light here, and we will discuss several things like the person who thought, I got away with 99 offenses, one more shouldn't be a problem, right? And we'll talk about how the government was changed in Mathura, and we'll talk about a few things, but they will all relate to the subject matter that's here. Now we see the difference in King Venu. It's kind of interesting. You think, well, why did these sages spend so much time discussing all the finer points with him, assuming that he would understand this? This is the way that we deal with people, even though we know that maybe they're not going to listen up. The sages knew that if he didn't listen and do the right thing, that they were going to have to burn him up and take away the kingdom. But first, it's better to give people the chance to rectify themselves. And through this understanding, and we see how many verses they gave to give him good advice. And he thinks he's reigning supreme, but the only thing he's reigning supreme is that he's the head of the ingrates. You know what an ingrate is? Someone who's not grateful. They spent all of this time explaining to him about what the king should really do. And instead, he responds with how important the king is. Now, where is he going off here? Where is the difficulty? I remember yesterday, Lucian was asking myself and Raghunath Bhatta, how is it that some people seem to go off the mark? And even if they're devotees, they end up doing the wrong things. Well, it's kind of like they says, pretty is as pretty does. If a drunk in the street drinks a lot of alcohol, what happens to him? Now, if we drink a lot of alcohol, what happens to us? We also get drunk. You can say, well, I'm a Brahmin. If I drink alcohol, I'm immune to this, right? And since I'm such a great devotee, I can shoot myself in the head too. No. In the same way, the person who has bad habits, he can give them up and become a devotee. And we can also return to bad ways if we're not careful. People are afraid if I give up all my miserable life, well, what will happen? Well, the miseries can be refunded at any time. Krishna will give it back to you. And we'll talk about some of these people who made mistakes. First, what is the kind of mentality here that makes someone make these kind of mistakes? And we'll look at what King Vena is saying here. First, it's described in the 16th chapter, called Divine and Demoniac Natures. This should give you an idea about what this chapter is about. Must be about divine and demoniac natures. First, Krishna explains all the divine natures: fearlessness, purification of one's existence, study of the Veda, austerity, charity, tolerance, fortitude, forgiveness. So many things he mentions. Study of the Vedas, compassion for all living entities. So many qualities that he mentions. So if we work on these qualities, we become godly. And he mentions, what are the demoniac qualities? The people are thinking, and this shows the idea of where people get themselves in trouble. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth is mine now, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So it's our intention. Are we setting out to try to serve God and the people around us, or are we trying to take from other people according to our schemes? In the mode of goodness, we try to help other people. In the mode of spiritual goodness, we help other people in a spiritual way. In the mode of passion, we try to exploit people. In the mode of ignorance, we try to destroy people and ourselves as well. So depending on what action, what mode we're in, we're going to get the reactions by that. So this demonic person thinks, so much will be gained by my schemes. And I'm perfect, powerful, and happy, and surrounded by rich and aristocratic relatives. This is the false ego and the false pride. We should be proud of how wonderful Krishna is, how proud we are of our spiritual master and the other devotees. Not think of ourselves as so great. We are like the representative. It's when we get this false pride that we get into trouble. And where is really the thing where the false ego comes? And where can people in a position of government get themselves in trouble? And where can we keep ourselves on course? Krishna mentions this in the 16th chapter, is that someone needs to know what is duty and what is not duty. And they need to act according to that. And what they should have turned on is just like you have the GPS turned on in the car and it tells you where to go. Our GPS should be that we are using our deliberate, Krishna mentions in the 43rd verse of the 3rd chapter, after he talks about lust and getting free from lust, he says that we should we should steady the mind, because the mind needs to go in the right direction. It shows in the Gita that the senses are like the horses and the mind is like the rain. So we just let the rain go and have faith that the senses will take us in the right direction. A lot of people do this. It doesn't work out well. There's a few things that don't work out well. That doesn't work out well. It should be that the spirit soul is directing the driver, who's the intelligence, to pull those reins and direct the senses in the right direction. That the senses must be engaged in Krishna's service. So whenever we're in a position of duty and we misuse that duty to hurt others, say someone is being a devotee and they figure how they can mistreat others, or they figure, I will collect money for Krishna, but I will use it for myself. Now, is that showing that they're not knowing what is duty and what is not duty? Or they're doing their duty and they're extracting something from themselves? We find this, unfortunately, that some devotees may get in a position and they may take money or they may abuse followers. And no matter how great they are, once they start to hurt other people with their position, they're not acting according to duty. I was telling that to one devotee. The people who work on the distributing level for the big Mexican drug cartels, how dishonest are they with the Mexican drug cartel? How often do they cheat them? Do you know they never cheat them? And the person says, well, but they're doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. Well, the point isn't to justify them. The point is that people who are if people working with major criminal organizations can make sure that they handle the money honestly, then if they can do that, then certainly we should be able to do it. Right? It's like if a bird comes in, brings a piece of fruit, and drops it to offer to the deities, God say, well, they're just a bird. If the people who have bad qualities can still be honest, then it just means that we should be even more important about being honest. We can't say, well, who are they? Because if they're being honest and we're being dishonest, especially when it comes to hurting other people. And this is why we have to study the scripture to know what is correct and what is not correct. It's just like they say now, you study Prabhupada's books for 6 months, and then you find someone who can guide you. Now, if you've never studied these books, and I start lecturing to you on this 19th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you say, this guy must be the best. He's so smart because he's giving us knowledge that no one else is giving us. Right? It's like I come up with some theories that you haven't read anywhere else, and I lecture on the 19th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Am I smarter and more knowledgeable than the others, or am I using incorrect knowledge to try to exploit you? Which is it? That's not rhetorical. Which is it? So if you find me lecturing from the 19th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, do you think this guy is playing us, or this guy must be smarter because he's telling us things the other people don't know? Of course they don't know it because it's not real. So it behooves us to find some knowledge. But this is the idea here, is that we should use this deliberate spiritual intelligence to think, what is my duty and what is not my duty? Duties are different for different people. There's 3 kinds of devotees. The Kanishta Adhikari, he just worships the Lord and he wants to be in the front because it's him and the Lord. But that's the beginning stage. The Madhyama Adhikari, he worships God, he makes friends with devotees, he helps the innocent, and he stays away from the antagonistic, the demoniac. And the Uttama Adhikari, he is like the Tattva Darshan that Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita 4:34, Tattvidi Paniprashnena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti keganam gnanivas tattva darshanaha, that you approach this self-realized spiritual master, inquire submissively, render service to him, because this self-realized spiritual master can impart knowledge to you because he has seen the truth. So we have the three standards of devotees. Which one should we do? Should we try to be the Uttama Adhikari because it is the top position? Or should we try to become the Kanishta Adhikari because that's the easiest? Which one is it? Who can tell me? Which one? Nobody knows? Raghunath Bhatta must know. I give you a hint, it was a trick question. Why was it a trick question? Which one should we try to practice? The Kanishta or the Uttama Adhikari? It's neither one. We should try to be the Majjhima Adhikari because the Kanishta is missing some basic things and the Uttama Adhikari is beyond where we're at. So we should worship the Supreme Lord, make friends with devotees. We should help the innocent. That is our duty. Our duty may be different than the Uttama Adhikari. But what we should try to think is, what is my duty? Because we can think, the peace formula is that we understand that Krishna is the supreme controller, Krishna is our supreme friend, and Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Now, we found one of the things, how well does it work out? Many people try to become God's competitor. I'm going to become the supreme controller. I'm rich and powerful and surrounded by rich and aristocratic relatives. Look how Vena is talking about. Hey, all the demigods are in the king and I'm the king. Now, is he thinking about duty and what he needs to do? Or is he thinking about false prestige, how great I am? So he's thinking he's like the supreme personality of Godhead. And when he wants to become the supreme personality of Godhead, is he going to succeed? Many people want to become God's competitor. And many of them try that. And there is a long list of people who tried that. And I wrote down the list here in my hands of the people who succeeded. What's on my hand? What's there? Do you see names of people who succeeded in becoming God's competitor? Why don't you see the names there? Why? Because nobody succeeded at this. But I'm going to be different. We see some examples of this, the one I hadn't thought of. Duryodhana, we see that just like these sages here, they tried to give the easy advice first. Krishna did this. He went to the Kurus and tried to negotiate with them to work out something with the Pandavas. Well, Duryodhana says, I'm just going to capture you. And Krishna shows part of the universal form. And Duryodhana says, I don't care if you're God. I still want the kingdom and I'm willing to fight for it. Good luck with that, right? Someone shows you they're God and you still want to fight against them? This is deluded. Krishna mentions this in 16th chapter. They are deluded by the false prestige and deluded by the false impression. Now, this demoniac people, what is the difference between being in illusion and being in delusion? You know what the difference is? In illusion, it's more like the mode of passion. You're not sure what to do. You're not sure of what your position is. You're not sure of what's best. In delusion, you're sure that the wrong thing is the right thing. We see this when Krishna mentions like the people in the mode of ignorance. They think that the wrong thing is the right thing. They think that irreligion is religion. They think that doing anything that benefits me is what's best. So they're sure about what's right and wrong. The only trouble is what's really wrong they think is right. And they're deluded. Illusion, they're not sure about what action to take. delusion. They're sure that the wrong thing must be the right thing. And that's where these people are acting. And the whole point where Krishna is showing it is he says in the 16th chapter, by studying the scriptures, we should know what is duty and what is not duty. Krishna mentions this deliberate spiritual intelligence. What does deliberate mean? Deliberate and to act with determination. What do these mean? What does it mean? Say it louder. Does what? The good intention. And it also means, what it means is like determination means that you have come to a decision. When there's a jury, they send the jury out. The 12 people listen to all the evidence first. You don't just come in with an opinion. You find that when someone's been accused of a crime, all the people that don't like them just assume they're guilty, and the people who like them assume they're innocent. Is that the way you have a trial? No. They listen to all the evidence, and then they deliberate. They consider it carefully, think of all the evidence, and then the judge says, have you come to a determination? A determination means that you have gathered all the evidence, and you've done like Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter talks about Sankhya Yoga, which means counting. You add up what is the most beneficial, what's the least beneficial, and you have determined what is the course of duty, what is proper action, what is improper action, and you continue to deliberate on this before you take action. You see, sometimes these politicians say, oh, I never should have said that. But maybe they should deliberate first and learn the austerity of speech. As I said before, not everybody needs to know the austerity of speech. Only people who talk to other people or who go on the internet or communicate with other people in any way. So if you don't communicate with anybody in any way, you don't need to know the austerity of speech. But probably you're going to communicate with people in some way. So before you use this deliberate spiritual intelligence to think, is my speech truthful? Let's analyze this in relation to what Venu is saying. All the nice things he's saying. We'll go back over what he says. Those who out of gross ignorance do not worship the King, who is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, experience happiness neither in this world nor in the world after death. You are so much devoted to the demigods, but who are they? Indeed, your affection for these demigods is exactly like the affection of an unchaste wife who neglects her married life and gives attention to her paramour, Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Vayu, and the master of air Yama, the superintendent of death, the sun god, the director of rainfall, Kuvera, the treasurer, the moon god, the predominating deity of the earth, Agni, the fire god, Varuna, the lord of waters, and all others. Boy, talk about dropping names, huh? Agni, who are great and competent to bestow benedictions or to curse all, abide in the body of the king. For this reason, the king is known as the reservoir of all demigods, who are simply parts and parcels of the king's body. Let's analyze this. We'll deliberate on it. Is this true about Venu's position? Is it pleasing? Is it beneficial? Is it not agitating to others? And is it based on spiritual knowledge? So we see this when the people have tried this in the past. What had happened? We talk about the person that made 99 insults. I got away with it so far, right? Sisupala was insulting Krishna. And he just kept insulting and insulting. And he did it 99 times and got away with it. So one more time won't bother, right? It's just like if you're committing crimes and the authorities are watching you and they've already got evidence against these others. So the next time when they catch you, they have a list of all this evidence. It's like a person jumping off the 100-story building, and as he passes the 99th floor, he says, so far no problems, right? So Sisupala made 99 insults. Who's counting, right? Krishna was. Krishna's good at counting. Better than some of the other people, right? So at the 100th one, then Krishna gave him the disc. Just like Pandraka decided to be Krishna's competitor. He says, I want you to give up the 4 symbols of Vishnu. And Krishna says, all right, how about I'll start with the disc, but be careful. So both of them lost their head, right? They lost their head with their false ego, and then they literally lost their head. So we can't think I'm continuing to get away with this. It's just adding up. And then when the time comes to pay, it's like you go to the store and you keep running up the credit card and you think, well, so far I bought all these things for free. Then you go to the store, it says it's declined, and now you're not able to pay it, and the interest rate goes higher, and now you owe extra. So it catches up just because you think that it doesn't catch up. So now to discuss a political matter. Did you hear about the government being changed in Mathura? What happened was that the leader in Mathura, he wanted to arrange a wrestling match. And so he invited these 2 young boys from Vrindavan. And first, when they came to Vrindavan, he tried to have them killed with an elephant. And the elephant was killed. Tell me when you get who these boys are. Then these boys were wrestling the big wrestlers. Sure enough, these wrestlers are going to beat them. Until they grabbed them by the arms and just threw them away. No problem. Who knows who these boys are? Okay. So before this, King Kamsa had sent many demons to Vrindavan to kill Krishna. How many times was he successful? Now let's add on top of that, was he successful with the elephant or with the wrestlers? They have a saying, if you can't beat them, join them. So the next intelligent thing for him to do would say, you know what? I can't beat you. I'm going to join you. Did he do that? Then he said, think about how crazy this is. Every time he failed at it. So now he says, I'm going to arrest Vasudeva and Devaki, the parents of Krishna, and Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men, and we're going to have them all killed. This was a mistake, wasn't it? It's the last mistake he ever made, though, because Krishna jumped up on the dais and killed him. So that's how the government was changed in Mathura. So we see here the whole idea is that how do we not act this way? We see that if someone is going to be a king, the leader of a city, a brahmachari leader, collecting money for the temple, instructing people, that they have to know what is duty and what is not duty. If we're doing sacrifice, Krishna says that they do sacrifices in name only. If they're doing this just to look good, or make a show just so that I can exploit others, then we're really misusing our position. Because it's one thing if I say, hey, I really have no idea what's right or wrong and I can't instruct you. But if I'm instructing you in ways so that I will get your benefit, then is there something wrong in that? Just like, here's the thing. If someone is a temple leader and they take the money from the treasury or they collect the donations and they keep it, is this a crime? Now let's say they go to a business and they say, hey, I want to build, this person is in charge of, say, a temple, but he has his own business, And he goes to someone and he says, listen, I want to build my own apartment building here, and because I'm the president of the temple and I have lots of contacts, I want you to give me a better price. Now, is he actually taking anything away from the temple? No, correct? But is this illegal? It is, because he's using his position. It's one thing if just on his own he says, look, I'm doing another construction project, I'd like you to do the work. But if he tries to use his position to get unfair advantage, just like if a person in government says, hey, listen, I'm in charge of this affair, you give me a better price to do this, even if they don't take something, the fact that they're using this, which is not their duty, for their own personal benefit. If they do the work as just an individual and they do their duty as a temple leader, this is fine. But we have to be very careful to see what is the duty and what is not the duty, what is honest and what is not honest. And so these things have to be looked at very carefully. We tend to accuse people of things without any evidence, and then other times we don't judge something. But what we also have to do is be thankful for so many people who are doing duties. There are some things that go really well that we neglect to be grateful for. When Bhaktisiddhanta left, I gave that talk on a Sunday when he wrote a handwritten will, which a handwritten will is obviously even more important than a printed one, because the printed one, someone may have faked it, but it's pretty hard to fake a handwritten will. Within hours before he left, and he told his followers to form a governing body. But they didn't do this. And then they fought against each other to all be in charge. Now in ISKCON, sometimes leaders have had trouble, but because we have a governing body and a board, then these people can no longer be in charge. Because it's the principles of Krishna consciousness that are more important than any particular individual. And they're fighting with each other to get control and to get disciples. Now here, we have different people who've initiated all over the world. And in South Africa, we have Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, we have Parthasarathi. Ones that are gone are Krishnadas Swami and Bhakti Charu and Kadamba Kanana. And we also have Giriraj Swami and Indraduma Swami and Bibi Govinda and a few others. Now, do you ever see these people fighting? Do any of them say, hey, you should give up your initiation with them and come to me? And have any of these individuals sold the ISKCON property to fight against their godbrothers? Have they? Who have seen this happen ever? It hasn't happened. It's so absent that we neglect to be grateful for that. You know, it's like prasadam shows up every day. It's something that's wonderful. We have to be grateful for the things that it's just like a rich person. Sometimes they're spoiled because, everything is given to them. When we had to struggle to get things going, we had to sell books and make the profit. Now people are donating to the temple, and you just have to come and wait for them to open the curtain. There's not so many struggles. So we have to be grateful for the things that are going well. Just because it's happened so regularly doesn't mean we shouldn't be grateful for it. Just like this building was built so it doesn't fall in. Doesn't that mean we should be grateful for it? Because other buildings fall down because they weren't built properly. So we have to be thankful that we don't have the leaders like King Vina. But we also have to try to instruct them first. Give them the benefit of the doubt. It's like Prabhupada says, we make a bold proposal in a humble way. Like when we're doing books. We remember that the goal is to be doing books. And if people are antagonistic, maybe we just leave them alone. Or we say, you know what, those ideas might be correct. And if you take this book, you can see how those ideas are correct or incorrect in this book. We present the bold proposal in a humble way. And we try to think of the goal. The one girl said to me that, I have to keep arguing on Sankirtan because people want to argue with me. I said, well, you have to go out with a goal in mind. If your goal is to argue with people, then fine. You go argue about anything. But if the goal is to do books, then why are you arguing? What is my goal? We have to think about that. What is my goal? What is my duty? And they should go together. We shouldn't be scheming to get advantage over other people. So they have to think about it. I told the story of that when my daughter and myself and granddaughter, we bought a 3-unit building with an owner-occupied loan, and we had to live in one of the units. So we got a much lower rate, and we had to move one tenant out, and we thought these tenants must be dealing drugs or something because it seemed strange. So anyway, they were the best ones to move out. So after I move in, these 4 people are down below. It's early in the morning, maybe 3:30, and they're yelling up, hey, where are these people? And I said, I moved them out. They said, well, if you're hiding them, they owe us money, and if you're hiding them, we're going to come back after you and your whole family. So I don't say anything, because first what we need to do is use deliberate spiritual intelligence. First we take in the information, then we analyze it, and then we think what to do. Then the girl says, well, can you do me a favor and show me these people aren't there? So I thought, well, she's not really angry at me. It's the people who owe her money who also damaged this apartment. So I said, okay, continue deliberating. I says, the girl comes up, the 3 guys stay down below. So I showed her around, and she said, well, thank you so much for showing me they're not here. And then I just very nicely said, here's a piece of friendly advice for you. First you threaten me, and then you ask for favors. It might be smarter next time to ask people favors before you threaten them, instead of afterwards. She says, I am so sorry. What can I do for you? I said, make sure that anybody who knows these people know that they're not here anymore. She goes, I'll do that. And so we were never bothered by anyone again. So when we're acting in life or doing books, we have to deliberate it and think what the best course of action is. If you're on books or this person here, do we want to prove we can get angry and argue also? Or do we want to direct people like I directed her to realize that it wasn't a good course of action? Or you direct the person towards the books. You try to think of what the benefit is and what the course of action you're trying to take is. And that's why it's deliberate spiritual intelligence. If we're not sure, we don't take action yet. We consider to analyze something. It's like buying that piece of property. Say there's a property for sale for 2 million rand. You want to find out if it's really worth 3 or it's only worth 1. You need to find out. So the same way we need to find out the cost to value ratio or the cost to benefit. When we find Krishna consciousness takes a little more effort, but the benefit is a lot more. If it's twice the effort with 10 times the value, it's still a good idea. And so we need to analyze these situations and do like these sages did. They're just giving the proper advice. We don't go and threaten people, point out all their faults. You see that quite often Prabhupada in his books, he doesn't find fault with any particular people. It's ideas and practices. It's like Prabhupada talks about the nominative case and the objective case. The nominative case would be, he has all kinds of bad practices. He tells people they don't need to worship God. Or if I just say, people who tell you they don't need to worship God are missing out on the main point in life. It's the objective that's important, not to attack any particular persons. And you see here that these sages dealt in this objective case. Prabhupada says this a lot, using which case. They're not saying, hey, King Vena, you should this, you should do this, you should do that. They're talking about the objective of how a king should act and the benefits the king gets. But you see here, King Vena turns it around. He makes it all about them. He's angry at them for giving the right advice. Right? As to someone in the mode of ignorance, they will hate you if you tell them not to get intoxicated. But if you give them a drug that might kill them, you're their best friend until it kills them. So we will see later what happens here. But we see, like in the advantages in the scriptures, that we try to do our duty, and we try to think of what the proper instructions are, delivered in a way that is palatable. So are there any questions or comments on these? Who wants to be a ruler like King Vena? Do we have rulers like that? There are some like that. But what we try to do is be like the sages and give the good advice. Because if we just point out the bad things, instead of something they can do good, by somebody doing one good thing, they may change the course of history. Sometimes the book can do that. I saw in the Moscow Book Fair in 1975, when that was the only place we could sell any books, and the mayor of Moscow was looking at the Bhagavad Gita they had given him and reading it intently. So when in Russia, when Gorbachev was in charge, the hardline communists arrested him and took over, and the tanks were coming to attack the Parliament building. This person got on the top of the tank and said, "You will not do this. This is not your duty. You are doing a wrong action, and you will stop." He'd read the Bhagavad Gita. This was Boris Yeltsin, who ended the whole communist regime and made it possible to have freedom in Russia and possible to distribute books and open temples. And in those first few years of Boris Yeltsin, do you know that 56% of our books in the world were being distributed in Russia? Now India is the top country. But just by him getting that one proper instruction, he used that and he stopped the communist system, which opened up Russia. So what we need to do is get these instructions out to people without judging. And just maybe someone will take up something and change the course of history. And we know it's possible because there's that example and others that have worked in the past. Thank you. Hare Krishna.